Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamualaikum. Jiayanu, Pakhairagale, Ni Hao, Chunashumme, Washmale, Ohio Gonzaimas, Guten Morgen, Hola, Bonjour, Privyet, Kaifahal, Haleshumachatore, Ahlan Wasalan, Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swavia, Balikreaya, Hosh Galdin, and Iosayo, Huyamora, Chivatochi, Haljot, Kalimera, and a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning. Alongside somebody we all know as Mariam Zia, and she happens to be the host of Game Change, and she's going to certainly change the game for World this morning today as well. But first things first, I really need to welcome her to my set because she's assisting while Miss Haja Satti is going to be somewhere where she was supposed to be because of her work. But first things first, hello Mariam, assalamu alaikum, good morning, how are you feeling today?
Walaikum assalam Shahzad, and a very warm welcome to all the viewers who are watching us today, and a good morning to everyone.
Exactly.
It was a bit harder for me to get up so early in the morning, but here I am.
And that's exactly what I wanted to ask. So Mariam, you know, I think that one of the biggest challenge which anybody or everybody could face, you know, while being on this show is that, you know, that certainly for somebody who's not ready for this schedule to wake up at 6 in the morning is something which is very, you know, something which they look forward to, whether I'll be able to wake up at 6 in the morning or not. So how was it for you today to wake up and make sure that you're going to be on time over here?
Of course, like we were discussing earlier in the makeup room as well, that I was having a bit of anxiety whether I'm going to get up early in the morning or not. But of course,
Alhamdulillah,
it feels good to be here.
And with what positive thoughts do you start your week? You know, that's something which my viewers, you know, our viewers would love to know, that, you know, what is that one particular thing which Mariam would always think about whenever she starts her day? So what's that one thing?
Of course, with the positive thought that you have to let go of everything that was bothering you in the previous night or previous day, and start with a positive and new energy every day. And since it's start of the week as well, so the positive thought is just to have that energetic mindset that you are going to get things done that you have planned for the week.
And that's exactly how you're going to proceed as well, you know. So every single day you're going to take one step, and that's one thing which I do every single day, and that is I look at my heart. So whenever I'm going to wake up, I just look at my heart. I'm like, okay, you know, what disturbs you? So, you know, if there are a couple of things, I'm going to address them. If my heart says, you know, everything's good, go achieve the day, that's something which will certainly help me. But ladies and gentlemen, obviously very warm welcome to all our viewers in 47 different countries. Today, I can bet you that this is going to be one of the most amazing programs that we have conducted. But first things first, top stories coming up. Let's see what's happening inside Pakistan and on this planet we call Earth. So why don't you take the lead? Go ahead. What are we sharing with our viewers first?
So Shahzad, the first news is that Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has condemned social media campaign about threats of an assassination attempt on Army Chief General Asim Munir, and expressed the resolve to crush every conspiracy against Pakistan and the state institutions. This is something we have been watching for the past few days.
Exactly, and in addition to that, I think this is something which we certainly as a nation need to condemn as well. But ladies and gentlemen, to be very honest, with social media, we've been speaking about it. You know how, you know, they've been termed Pakistanis, not just Pakistanis, I think Muslims all over the world have faced these challenges of Islamophobia as well. And I think it's totally on to us whether how we respond to it. And you know what our religion tells us in the first place is that we want to coexist with peace, and that's something which we look forward to as Muslims, alhamdulillah, in the first place. And you know, our smiles share that with everybody who's out there. But not just that. So, you know, Mariam, for any country to exist, this is one thing which my father always used to tell me, that, you know, how you go to a market, you will see that, you know, there's going to be somebody who's selling fruit. There's going to be somebody who's selling grocery. There's going to be somebody, you know, who's going to wash your clothes for you. And they coexist, you know, within a marketplace. You know, such is the, you know, when we are to speak about countries, I think that's how countries actually progress economically, financially, and they make sure that, you know, they have this cross-culture program as well. And then these exchange programs which take place. So what happens is that, for example, if Pakistan might lack in some technologies, you know, we might actually shake hands with another country so that, okay, to bring in that technology, and for them, whatever expertise we do have. Now today, or in 2023, ladies and gentlemen, the best part is that Netherlands and Pakistan will be celebrating 75 long years of friendship, of diplomatic relationships, and we're very lucky, and we cannot keep calm, and it's because of the fact that Her Excellency is over here inside the studios with us. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, the Ambassador of Netherlands to Pakistan, Her Excellency Henny de Vries. Hello madam, assalamu alaikum, good morning, how are you feeling today?
Goedemorgen, good morning to you also. I feel great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you over here, and that too when in 2023 Pakistan and Netherlands are actually going to mark 75 years of diplomatic relationship, and this is something we love the most over here. And since while before the show we were having this conversation, while I was myself in Amsterdam or in Netherlands, I loved every bit of it. But first things first, and that is that, you know, when we speak of 75 years long relationship, how would you want to rephrase it? For example, how would you want to term it, that how the relationships have been in between Pakistan and Netherlands, and how would you want to celebrate it? You know, what hallmark are we going to witness in days to come?
Now, first of all, we have much longer relations. We had already a trading post in the Sindh province 400 years ago. Wow. Of course, the Netherlands is a lot about trade, a lot about exporting, importing, so the relationship is much, much longer. But when Pakistan became an independent country, the Netherlands were very upfront in recognizing this new country and trying to build strong relations with it, because Pakistan is for us a very important country, very important geopolitical position, but also working on a lot of areas where we can, as you already mentioned, share expertise.
True.
Agriculture, for example, we do so much together in the dairy field. We do a lot together in poultry. We do a lot together in maritime. We do a lot together in renewable energy. True. So there are many, many fields where we do work together.
Of course.
And that we want to celebrate this year, this 75 years of diplomatic relations. We had a very beautiful, I don't know if you have an opportunity to visit, we had a tulip garden.
Of course,
in the F9 park,
it has been established. Of course,
it was really wonderful.
Of course, we will be talking about that tulip garden as well. But Her Excellency, you joined your post here in Pakistan in August 2022. So how has been your experience so far working in Pakistan? How is the environment? How are the people? Yeah.
The people
Thank you.
really,
I must say it in advance. Thank you so much.
No, the people are really great. They're so hospitable. It's so nice to talk to people. People are very creative, very innovative. So I really enjoy that. I haven't traveled as much as I wanted, but I've been to Faisalabad, Lahore, I've been to the Sindh province, to Karachi, of course. And honestly, I had very good discussions with people. So I really enjoy being here. And the friendliness, the open conversations, that is a real pleasure.
And you know, in addition to that, obviously there's something which, while I was actually researching and I went through your bio too, you know, so I got to know that you're somebody who would term themselves as a vegetarian. And it's a wonderful choice, and it's a personal choice anyways. And you look smart, you look healthy, alhamdulillah. So for a country which is full of meat lovers, you know, so wherever you go, either you're going to hear about mutton kadai, either you're going to hear about chicken kadai or beef kebab and whatnot. Does it at times get a little difficult for you to kind of choose between what you're going to eat or not?
Of course, but it means that if I go somewhere, and I know I will have a lunch or a dinner or whatever, I tell people that I'm a vegetarian. If people really cannot do it, or by surprise I would be offered meat, I also will eat it, to be honest.
All right.
Because I think this is friendship also. People share food with you, so you have to accept it. And sometimes people share food with you who don't even have the means to share that food, so you should appreciate that. But overall, I have to admit, it has not been very difficult. Wow. Although sometimes people tell me, please eat more, because this is not our type of things we usually eat in Pakistan.
When we love someone and we want to welcome someone, we make them eat more.
Yeah.
So and what is your favorite Pakistani cuisine?
Nah, I like a lot, the palak paneer, the tikka paneer, the raita,
chane ki dal,
things like that. I eat a lot. Lentils, a lot of dal. I really like that.
Wow, that's wonderful. But have you tried parathas, ballon wale parathas?
Of course, I've tried parathas. Yeah. All of it. And I really like it. I like it a lot. When before I came here, I was already told by people, look, you're going to the place with the best South Asian food. So, and I really can testify to that.
But at times people do complain that, you know, that we are high on spices as well. So would you recommend that?
It's true, but once you're used to the spices, you enjoy them also.
That's
right, that's true.
And I'm here with my husband, and my husband loves spicy food.
Wow.
So he is for him, it's like a dream world of food, honestly.
Wow, it's just wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, obviously this conversation is going to go on, and just when we started the show, Your Excellency or Her Excellency actually kind of expressed her feelings about how the Dutch tulips blossomed over here in Pakistan. So we do have visuals we want to share with our audiences as well, and we would certainly want to ask you, because people were really ecstatic and happy and excited of the fact that they really did blossom over here. So why don't you take us through whether what happened and how those tulips came into being over here in Pakistan?
Yeah. Now the tulips, of course, the bulbs originally came from the Netherlands, but they have been produced here as well in the north. And we know how much Pakistani people love flowers, like we do as Dutch people. So it's another relationship we have. And we really thought it would be very nice in the F9 Park to showcase how the tulips, how beautiful they are. We have 7 different types of tulips there.
And Netherlands is also one of the biggest exporters of tulips as well, right?
We are. Tulip we consider as our national flower, although I have to admit that originally it came from Turkey.
Wow.
So, but the Netherlands really developed the tulip further. At one time in history, one tulip bulb would cost more than a house.
Wow.
Because we really try to create the best tulips in the world, and it has been a very good export for us.
And not just that, I think speaking of Netherlands, obviously when we speak in terms of agriculture for a country, which has a population somewhat around how populated our one city, Karachi is,
definitely.
It's certainly very overwhelming for anybody to kind of understand that how, that country achieved such a bigger milestone, where when we talk about agriculture technologies or all of those things which are related with agriculture and its field, Netherlands happens to be the largest exporter of it, and for a country where I think for the previous 7 decades our economy has been dependent on agriculture itself, I think a lot can be shared in between Netherlands and Pakistan. So can you please build up on that and let us know whether what secrets can we get from you and what secrets can we share with Netherlands?
Now, first of all, we are reaching rather the limit. We can expand our agriculture, but we will continue in the Netherlands to explore how we can increase agricultural productivity. So new techniques, what to produce, and of course we share that with a lot of other countries. And like I already said, here we're working on dairy, poultry, but also on crop productivity, post-harvest treatment. How can you keep the crop well? You don't want it to be lost before it goes to the market. New agricultural techniques. So we're working very closely together there, Pakistan and the Netherlands, to share information, to share expertise, and also exploring what is climate change bringing in this country, and how can we in the Netherlands again benefit from what we see here. So I would say it's a two-way street.
True.
Both of us gain from that knowledge and that knowledge sharing, that experimenting, etc.
And certainly, in terms of Pakistan, just last year we faced $40 billion of losses in terms of infrastructure destruction, because Pakistan happens to be one of those countries which is most vulnerable to climate change itself. How do you think that the international community alongside Netherlands as well can actually help a lending hand towards Pakistan, making sure that, God forbid, if we are vulnerable, that we can actually build back stronger or build back better?
Yeah, this is an area where a little bit my heart is, I have to admit. So water is, of course, even more so, I would say, than agriculture, the expertise in the Netherlands. My country is at least for a third below sea level. We've always been fighting water. In '53, we had a huge flood. What was remarkable, that Pakistan immediately stood up to help, to support the Netherlands. That created for us also the obligation to do something back last year. And I was very glad also that the Pakistani authorities really welcomed our support. There's now a group of water experts, really the best in the world, are working together with the Pakistani authorities to see how we can work together on flood control.
True.
Of course.
But a lot has to be done, and water is not easy. Look, for 10 centuries we were fighting with water.
True.
Now we learned, as the Netherlands, you don't have to fight it, you have to live with it. So we say water as our frenemy, as our friend and enemy. So, but it's in between. So you have to, and that's something, and also we learned there's no quick win. Of course, you can do some quick wins, but in the end, it's long-term solutions. You have to look, like you already mentioned, infrastructure has a huge influence on flooding. The Dutch experts made an inundation model for Pakistan, showing how infrastructure affected the flooding actually.
Of course.
So if you would do it differently, that infrastructure, then you could prevent also flooding.
True.
But this is a long-term process, and of course, yeah, we will continue to work together in this field for the coming years.
And while we are on this topic, there are certain areas of development cooperation when we talk about Pakistan and Netherlands. What have been the challenges when we talk about these development cooperation sectors?
Yeah, the challenges is, of course, it has to be implemented. So it's very difficult. Pakistan is a very big country.
True.
So the Netherlands is a very small country. So for us, it's more easy to identify one solution. Here we have to have different solutions.
True.
Punjab or KP or Sindh or Balochistan, they all need different solutions to deal with water, for example, or different agricultural areas, for example. You have dry areas, you have very wet areas.
Of course.
So the variety here is much bigger, and you have to support a much bigger population. And your infrastructure, because we have a high density of public transport, of highways, your infrastructure is very different. So also there you have to see, if you look from a logistical point of view, much more it has to be developed in Pakistan, I would say.
Exactly. And you know, since we are talking about development, and you know, while the conversation is going to go on, you know, this is something certainly which is very close to you, you know, other than climate change, because you've been an expert, I think, all through your life, you know, in the development sector yourself, Your Excellency. So what do you think happens to be one of those most pressing issues for Pakistan, or a challenge which you would want to highlight that, okay, you know, we can as a nation address it, or probably the government really needs to address it? What, in your opinion, is the most pressing issue in the development sector for Pakistan, which you might have highlighted?
I think education.
Education.
And employment opportunities, but they go a little bit hand in hand. I think that because you have a very young population, 60% of your population.
Of course, more than 60 is under 30.
Under
of
30.
course.
So you have to deal with that. You have to give people a future, which is a big, big challenge. So I would say if people are well educated, they can build their own future. They can have a small enterprise, for example. They can have innovative ideas. They can be those big IT people in this world, which we need so hard of with artificial intelligence. So they can bring your country forward. And then in the end, all the other things like the logistics, like water management, like agriculture, you will find solutions.
True.
So I think in the Netherlands, the advantage has been that we already have a very good educational system for a very long time. That takes time and investment.
Exactly, and in addition to that, I think what we certainly need to kind of discuss over here is the education model itself. You know, so we might have a lot of universities, but there's no bridge in between the academia and then the job market.
They need to streamline everything.
Exactly, and then Mariam, in addition to that, obviously what the children are actually studying within the schools is something which we really need to come across as well. And so just very recently, Pakistan came up with single national curriculum, which has been implemented till grade 1 till 12. Do you think that this is the way forward for Pakistan? And parents really need to make sure that rather than sending their kids to work, they should send them to schools.
Kids have to go to school. I know it's an investment, and it's sometimes extremely difficult for families to support their children to go to school, but in the end it's the future, the best future for your kids. And about the curriculum, yeah, there are different models in the world. So I don't know what's the best model for Pakistan, but vocational training, technical skills are equally important as a university degree.
True.
In the end, we need a good plumber. We need a person who can build a good road.
True.
We need a farmer who has excellent knowledge about when to irrigate, when not, how to retain water, when to seed. So all these things. So you need the whole educational range in a country. So one thing is not better than the other.
And it needs to be a specialized skill set, right?
Yeah, you need specialized skill sets in a country, and people have to realize that, because all parents dream about their children going to university, of course.
And getting
even a PhD, for example.
Being a doctor or an engineer.
Yeah. But that's not always needed. The country needs many more people. We need all sorts.
Exactly.
And in the Netherlands, we see we have a big problem. We have also the same as you have here. We have the medium range of vocational technical skills.
Yes.
We have to attract from other countries.
True.
So that's not what you really want. So I think that is something which the government has to look into.
Right. So are there some scholarship opportunities available for students as well? Because of course Pakistani students are very much interested to go study, especially in the European countries, and Netherlands being part of the European Union is one of the best destinations for people.
Now, we
so
already see many
tell
Pakistani in the Netherlands, like the technical universities, agricultural university, they are. We also do trainings for diplomats in the Netherlands. I would like to expand that, but I'm exploring. I cannot make that promise as yet, but at least on vocational training we will continue, but we also hope that more scholarships can be given.
And some exchange programs in between universities as well, because while I was...
That's so,
Yeah, because while I was going through all of these, you know, the data which we had with ourselves as well, so it was I think more than 6,000 Pakistanis who reside in Netherlands as well. You know, so obviously one of the most populated area needs to be Amsterdam and then Rotterdam. But while we actually speak of it, there's one thing which I admire the most, because I was in March this year, I was in Netherlands myself. I was in Amsterdam and I loved every bit of it, how the infrastructure was being developed. So imagine that, you know, if during the day you're not on a train, obviously as soon as the trains are going to shut down, the buses are going to take over. Everybody's cycling over there. I believe and I hope that I'm going to be right on this fact. So I think when we speak of the bicycle underground parking, Netherlands happened to be housed to one of the largest parkings all over the world. And so while I was on this cruise ship cruise, what happened was that the captain actually shared that everybody at least owns 6 to 7 bicycles over the span of their lifetime. The life expectancy was greater over there. It was higher in that region. Not just that, in addition to that, you know, so there was tourist police was different. You know, police for bicycles was different, police for vehicles was different. So how the government of Netherlands have managed it is something which has helped them to grow exponentially. And that's something which we would certainly want to learn from Netherlands, because, you know, over here, you know, so the tourist spots happens to be in the north, or rather in Murray, you know, which is closer to Islamabad. But certainly we might not have developed the infrastructure the way it should have been, or how we have experienced it in Amsterdam. So how do you think that, you know, making sure that we prioritize on the list that, okay, you know, this is what we need to prioritize, and then make sure that we give it our 100% and things are going to get better. So how did Netherlands did it for themselves? How did you become a bicycling nation or a cycling nation? And how come everybody has to own 7 to 8 bicycles over their lifetime?
And also this sustainable transportation is very important while we are talking about climate change. So of course the cycling infrastructure, like Shehzad mentioned, is very important. Do you see some venue for people in Pakistan that we can develop infrastructure for cycling in here as well? Because we keep on talking about climate change, but we never talk about the solutions like sustainable transportation and other things.
Yeah, sustainable transportation is key, I would say. And of course, the advantage of cycling is it's sustainable, it's good for the climate, it's good for your health also, because it keeps you do your exercising while you cycle. So the Netherlands has one advantage, it's flat. I mean, you have the Himalayas, so you cannot cycle in the Himalayas. Some can, but most people can't do it. I'm a good cyclist, I couldn't do it. But you have areas where you could promote cycling, for example in Karachi, because it's quite flat, and but then it needs a real effort. We have people visiting the Netherlands, for example from Copenhagen. They came to Amsterdam to see how they can arrange the cycle plan, because we have cycle highways. So we make the way really go also for speed cycling, because in the morning now you've seen the streams of people going by bicycle to their work, and parents go with the kids on the bike, and now we have all kind of special bikes, and and for us, the bike is where you do everything with. You do your shopping, you have your shopping goods on the back. It's simply our way of working. It's cheap, it's sustainable, it's healthy. So it's a very good way. But I think in Pakistan you could explore, where is this possible? Where is this doable? Overall in the country you have to see what more can we do with public transport. What can we do from a logistical viewpoint with trains? Goods by train is much more sustainable than by trucks, for example. Waterways perhaps. So these are things, but it takes, once again, also that is a long-term vision.
True.
You have to be aware, in the Netherlands we make visions and we talk about in 75 years, we wanted our country to be like this.
In the next 75 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And then we go backwards to see what does it mean for today.
Of course.
Wow.
And what does it mean in 5 years? But that's a very different perspective. So I think that is, because otherwise, if you only go short term, you cannot solve the real problems in the end. You have a far more challenging country, I want to reiterate that, than the Netherlands.
And
I mean, we're more
course.
unified, small, flat, etc.
And Your Excellency, thank you so much for addressing that, because this is something which we have spoken about over here on our program too most of the times, that we really need to have this blue book or red book mindset where we're actually thinking ahead 100 years, making sure that when we speak of the development of the country, you know, that we kind of keep in mind that, okay, in next 100 years, what challenges we'll have. But very quickly towards the end, because this time, for the very first time on our show, it's not that we are short on time, but you're short on time, Your Excellency. So very quickly towards the end, what would you want to say for people who are out there, all those Pakistanis, and how was it to be over here at PTP World on World this morning? Whatever you feel like saying, please go ahead, look into the camera. You're being watched in 47 different countries. Please go ahead.
I really enjoyed being here, and like everywhere in Pakistan, such a warm welcome, which makes it very special to be in this country. I believe Pakistan has so many possibilities, so much potential. And of course there are big challenges also ahead, but challenges can be overcome. And I think we started this show by saying you should always look at the positive, be energetic, try to resolve what you can resolve. And I think Pakistan can do that. And the Netherlands and Pakistan will further strengthen their bonds so that both countries will be peaceful, will be stable, and will be prosperous. Thank you very much for having me here today.
And thank you so much, Your Excellency, for being with us. And we certainly look forward to 1,000 more years of friendship and diplomatic relationships.
Inshallah.
And we will certainly look forward to having you over and over again as well.
Course.
So no matter what, whenever you feel like it, please just let us know and we'll have you over. And for everybody who's outside, ladies and gentlemen, I certainly wanted to talk about cheese because Netherlands happens to be the best producer of cheese as well. And not just that. So they have these duck stores over there, you know, so you know those little ducks you see when the kids are in the bathtub and whatnot all over the Netherlands, and it's very famous. I wanted to talk about it, but we were short on time, inshallah, next day. But ladies and gentlemen, it's this friendship which will certainly help both the countries to come out of all of those challenges which we face. You know, as friends, what we do is that we will certainly kind of ask our friend that, hey, you know what, this is the kind of challenge I'm going through my life. So with countries, diplomatic relations are always going to be helpful in making sure that we progress together, and just like Her Excellency mentioned. So thank you so much once again for joining us. It was wonderful to have you over here.
It was a pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, you know, where Her Excellency left, that's what we're going to continue with. That how now the 60% of the population who happens to be under 30 in Pakistan can certainly play a very important role in the development of the country. That's something which we will be talking about right after a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you very much for staying tuned. Earlier, obviously, we were in conversation with the ambassador of the Netherlands to Pakistan, Her Excellency Henny de Vries. But ladies and gentlemen, obviously, towards the end, she did speak about how, you know, Pakistanis have a major role to play in the development of their own country. Now, imagine that, you know, Mariam, we have spoken about how, you know, the majority of the population happens to be youngsters away in Pakistan.
In fact, more than 64% of Pakistan's population is under the age of 30.
Imagine, you know, we are under 64%. We come within the 64%. That's something which we do like the most. But at times, for example, we are over here at PTV World early in the morning, making sure that we talk about in which areas Pakistan and Netherlands can join hands to bring back a lot of prosperity and share a lot of prosperity with Netherlands at the same time. Now, that's exactly what we certainly want to focus on, that what the youngsters of Pakistan can do. For example, you know, Her Excellency actually spoke about education and how, you know, not anybody and everybody can be a doctor or an engineer, but rather we will need people who have specialized, trained skills to themselves. For example, it might be somebody, you know, who can probably come up to our house and fix all the electronics. Not just that, you know, it might be somebody who really can be a contributor towards cottage industry. You know, there can be so many different facets to it. And to kind of talk about it, I'm very glad once again that I've been joined by one of those people I've loved the most, you know, I've respected them the most, and it's because of the fact that every time he's here, he's made sure that, you know, he's going to share something with the rest of the world which will be going to be beneficial for them. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we're very lucky that we've been joined by an author and an analyst, and he happens to be Mr. Sabahuddin. Hello sir, assalamu alaikum, welcome back from Dubai.
Wa alaikum assalam. I'm very happy. It's a pleasure, always pleasure to be with you and your team here.
Thank you so much, sir. And I was expecting, you know, a few chocolates from the duty free as well. So I don't know whether you had a time to kind of bring that for us. But, you know, on a lighter note, that's something which I was supposed to ask for chocolates. But, sir, you know, now the most pressing issue or a challenging issue for us is that, you know, we do not have people who have specific skill set to themselves. You know, we talk about vocational training centers, we talk about how people really need to have some sort of skill to themselves, which unfortunately we still lag behind in. You know, so what will be your take on that? Do you think that it has to do more with awareness, or do you think that it has to do more with how different professions, for example, being a doctor, an anchor person, a journalist is being looked at over here in Pakistan, or do you think that koi kaam chota nahi hota? That's what I think.
First and foremost, my compliments to you for selecting such a wonderful topic. And I think Morning Show is unique in a way that we always discuss what should we do and how we can do about it.
True.
In a part of the world where we live in, normally we look at the youth energy with our own perspective. We take youth as impulsive, the energy as an uninformed energy, which is very, very aggressive in nature, and which is not, you know, coming onto terms with collaborations. So, but I think that this energy can be channelized and funneled into many good things for this country. If I related the miracle of Han River, how South Korea transformed after the Korean War, I can relate it to the inshallah upcoming miracle of Indus River, starting from Gilgit-Baltistan down to our Balochistan and Sindh.
True.
The first thing that comes into my mind is entrepreneurship and innovation, because here we create jobs.
True.
Here we create opportunities for others to come into problem solution. So when we are talking about problem solution, it is not necessary to go and hunt a job.
But Sabah Sahab, I'm very sorry, but I'll have to kind of you know, interject over here. I'm sorry for doing so, but that's something which, you know, everybody speaks about. Now it gets difficult because I, alhamdulillah, myself have experienced to be an entrepreneur. You know, I certainly have run my own businesses, and then there were times in my life when I came to know that, you know, that the way economic cycle works within the country is something which does not support a newer person to come into the business. Because imagine that in the West, when we do see that, you know, there are people opening up their new pizza spots and whatnot, and, you know, there are new restaurants coming up, you know, their economic cycle is such that everybody is going to go outside on a weekend and spend whatever they have earned. Rather way in Pakistan, everybody wants to save rather than spending. And, you know, all my friends, when I opened up my own business venture, all my friends were rather calling me and be like, yaar, wo, hame a gift pack to bhijwa de. You know, so, you know, the way things work over here are very different from the way things work over there. How do you think that the government really needs to play a role over here to make sure that they assist all of those people who are getting into job creation? Because when we speak about entrepreneurs coming out, when we speak about innovation, obviously that's something which will create a lot of other jobs. But the economic system needs to be such, or the ecosystem needs to be such where they grow, they blossom, right? So what will be your take on in terms of the government's role which needs to be out there to assist all of such individuals?
I think we are halfway in a way that over the last few years we have really worked very hard. Pakistan has a promising startup scene, and if we study all the NICs and these co-working spaces, and, you know, they are, you know, buzzing like busy bees and hives. They are developing into wonderful places where lots and lots, if I say minimum hundreds and hundreds of companies are coming up. And the good thing is that most of these companies are run by females. Even they are working these companies from their homes. So I think we have done a bit into this. Pakistan has really, particularly in the north where I am working, where we are investing into youth, I have seen that despite the lack of internet, despite the unavailability of power 24/7, things are coming up very nice. But the next thing is how we connect these people to the global opportunities.
True.
Of course.
They are doing it nice here, but we need to connect them to the world abroad, so that they harvest those opportunities.
Of course, and when we talk about such a young population, it has of course its own challenges, but it presents a lot of opportunities as well. But there are some skill sets, soft skill sets as well that is required. What are some of the soft skill sets that you want to see in the young people, and especially young entrepreneurs, females, and what would you recommend them to work on more?
When we talk about skill, or when we talk about getting into a skill and establishing it for other people, it has to be sustainable. Now the trend is that people are following the digital skills. Fine, one has to be conversant with all this digital. It is rather more important than your other life skills.
True.
That you should have those digital skills where you can access people outside your country, communicate with them, do business with them, understand the laws what they are following, and even you are able to present the product you have and create your own product and sell it in the international market. But the thing we are following is a trend, and normally we follow trends that are not sustainable. Presently and currently we are running after digital skills. I fear that maybe in the years to come this will not be sustainable. Things are evolving very fast.
True.
Things that is relevant today, they may not be relevant tomorrow. Previously years we were training people to be content creators, but now the AI has almost kicked this segment out of the competition. So we have to see what is sustainable for us. Soft skills, fine, but maybe we go into the hard skills also.
Yeah.
I encourage people to go into farming, because in this world where people are coming into this world, they are getting born, they are using things, they are eating food. The one who is growing, he will always be rich.
True.
So we don't have to channelize this youth energy towards a particular direction. We can invite them into farming, we can invite them into forestry, we can invite them into the climate sector, many things. I think for the opportunities, particularly for the ladies, sky is the limit. Even sky is not the limit.
I think sky is the limit for everybody, and this is an era where Mariam, we've already been speaking about that, how we need to, for example, whatever we have learned, we need to unlearn and then learn again.
Of course,
and
that is
people
very
who
important.
are on that continuous journey of learning, unlearning and learning again are the people who are actually doing wonderfully well. And since you spoke about agriculture, now what hurts me the most is that imagine that for a country which has been our economy for the longest period of time has been dependent on agriculture, right?
Of course, it used to be backbone of our economy.
Exactly. So now what I would certainly want to pick up on is that imagine that that now we do come across countries like Netherlands, for example. Her Excellency was here and they happen to be the largest exporter when we speak about agriculture related products. Now imagine that countries world over have, with the help of research and scientific research, I must say, have been able to double their harvest station. So they've been making sure that now they're just not going to go towards farmlands, but rather they're going to go vertically as well. So imagine, and with that, what they have done is that their exports have doubled. Now, for example, we're coming down to Pakistan, we still have that one tractor or probably a bull cart, and that's exactly how we certainly want to proceed with the agriculture harvesting, and that's not how it is. There are people who have done quite a lot, there have been technological interventions, but we need it on a massive scale. Don't you think that just because of the fact that we haven't unlearned all of what methodology teachings we had of agriculture, and that we haven't learned the newer ways of agriculture, and that we are unable to harvest as much as the other parts of the world are doing?
Wonderfully put, point. Wonderfully. I agree with you. We have to unlearn particularly one way. For example, we are into growing food.
True.
We are focused on food. We do not grow anything else. While if you remember, cotton used to be our silver fiber.
True.
There are many things that are industrial requirements world over. For example, castor bean. All these your industrial oils are made of castor bean. India is one of the largest exporters. True. And the import market world over is in multiple billions.
Then rice, then sugarcane.
Then everything, and even the items that you do not consume. They are even sold at a better price than the market. You can store them, they are non-perishable. So I think it's time for us to understand, do some research and unlearn. One of the items in Pakistani agriculture that we export is citrus.
True.
And there's a gift of University of California who developed this particular quinoa variant, and we brought it into Pakistan.
True.
I think we have to work. Cherry in the north, in the Balochistan, is one of the finest in the world.
Avocados happen to be a gold mine these days as well, so I think we should focus on that
So
too.
I think there are a lot many things we have to wean ourselves away from rice, wean away from
The conventional
Of course.
thought processes.
conventional, yes.
And
The
innovation is
conventional
very important when we talk about this, but involving youth in decision making processes is very important. And of course, government launched Prime Minister Youth Program, Youth Scheme back in 2013. So how do you think that such government initiatives help involving young people in the decision making processes? And while we talk about this agriculture and innovation, how that is going to help bringing youth in the policy making processes?
The first thing is to remove all the sense of and the feelings of alienation among the youth. We have to bring them in at the university level, at the college level, at the school level, even those who are out of school. We have to bring them into some way into a decision making process from the grassroots up to the policy level. The second thing is that
And what needs to be done for that?
the government
Like what
cannot do it
system?
alone.
Yeah.
Government cannot do it alone. The social CSOs and NGOs and NPO sector has to come in
True.
to fill that gap. So I think it has to be a partnership between the government and the civil society to work on the youth. One of the major challenges we have is the mental health amongst the youth.
Very important.
Why we look at them, they are chauvinistic, they are radicalized, they are impulsive, they are taking uninformed decisions, you know, and the rise of this unfortunate cases of suicides, particularly in the north. This is very alarming for us. And I think we have to start the list of troubleshooting together. The government is, of course, it has limited resources. It can lay out a policy, it can show a direction, but for the society at large, it has to come. Not only the NPO, but for-profit sector also has to come.
Exactly, and in addition to that, I would want to kind of, address this issue, and it's because of the fact that imagine that, so however, or how many times, Mariam, we do or we might bring in, what role the government needs to play. At least what we need to understand is that the government is not barring anybody from doing anything they want to do.
Of course.
That's one thing, that everybody has this freedom, I think, and there are people who just because of this freedom were able to do quite a lot well, so we do have a lot of success stories over here in Pakistan. People know about all of these bigger names. I know this gentleman Tabish Mahmood, who actually came up with his own project of Kisan something, and he made sure that he's going to bring in technology, and then he's reaping the profits out of it as well. How do you think, or how essential it is for us, because imagine that the global population of women is increasing now. It's just our country where we have a lesser population of women going to work. So imagine that, if any housewife who is well learned, who is well educated, actually start to work, will probably have another job opportunity to be created for somebody to come and help her at home. So that's one thing if we start to think this way. How do you think that we make it more inclusive for people? And then what do you think that the men within our society, because at times, the image is that, that it's a male dominant society, and it might be true to some extent. How do you think that the men of our society need to make sure that they hold the hands of other women out there, bring them within that economic cycle, so that that ecosystem which is being built is more sustainable and has a lot more decision makers and people to play their role?
One thing we have to understand, and we have to confess, that is gender disparity will stay for some time. It is not going away in a jiffy. It will stay for years. And the solution lies at the society level, and the unit of society is family.
True.
We have to encourage as a family our sisters, our daughters to start participating into the economy of the family. And when they start contributing in the economy of the family, of course, they're going to contribute to the society at large. Things are changing. I see things changing, because I'll be very proud to name few, but that will be injustice to others. The ladies, the girls are coming up really, really very aggressively. The NIC at Islamabad, the incubation centers in the provinces, you can see a lot of ladies, a lot of our daughters and sisters really coming up.
Of course, but there's still a lot of potential when we talk about these NICs playing an important role. What, in your opinion, are some of the sectors in which there is more room for youth coming in and engaging and bring a positive change in the society and in the development of the country as well?
I think we are not tapping on every sector. We are just focusing on the digital skills right now, which is not good, which is not good for, it's not sustainable. So I think we have to diversify our skills, right from you know, fixing my minor electronic item to constructing a company like LG or Samsung.
True.
I think the spectrum is very broad, and we have to break this glass ceiling, shatter it, so that our vision at least broadens up. So we
and thank you so much for saying that, because Mariam, that's exactly what I used to share, and that was that, for example, that if we are to export a truck full of wheat, what do you think we're going to get in return? One Apple iPhone, I think, is somebody's going to get that, and that too in exchange of that. So I think where Sabah Sahab actually mentioned, he's hit the nail on the head, that we really need to have broaden our spectrum and build companies like LG and Samsung, and that's the way forward. Imagine people who've invested in microchips only are being billionaires now. So I think that's something which everybody needs to think about. Research, learn, make sure that there's more bridges amongst academia and the job market. But thank you so much, Sabah Sahab, for being with us. It was so lovely to be in conversation with you. You're always full of bright ideas, just like you yourself are. And Mariam, we hope that that you loved it on the sets of World this morning.
Of course, it was wonderful having you, and with your positive and such positive energy. And of course, you were encouraging me in the makeup room
Thank
as
you
well.
so much. So it's needed, so the dream will only work if the team will work. And ladies and gentlemen, it's not just something which will work over here at PT World or World This Morning. I think it's going to work everywhere. It's a universal law. For everybody who's out there, please make sure that you write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of World This Morning. On Twitter, it's World This Morning. Please make sure that you catch the fabulous repeat as well. So until next time, 1, 2, 3, we say good morning together, okay? 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.